I love being by the sea. We go as a family, and my daughters have learnt to surf. Perhaps I should try that next. It's just about giving it a go. We encourage girls to take new opportunities to explore. Being adventurous and taking risks allows them to find out about themselves and builds confidence. Whenever I can, I like to head for green space. Cycling and hiking are great ways to unwind. I used to be nervous, but I'm much more confident now. I've learnt that slow and steady gets me up the steepest of hills. Our girls learn new skills outside of the classroom and aren't afraid to step outside of their comfort zone. I've always loved being with children. It's a privilege to spend time nurturing them. We make learning engaging and interactive, so our girls become confident communicators, inspired innovators, architects of their future with the most curious of minds. They should feel equipped for any future, to put themselves forward for positions of authority and be enthusiastic learners. They'll move on from the junior school having a strong sense of self. Our girls are Redmaids High girls, and I am Lisa Brown, head teacher of Redmaids High Junior School. So good morning and a very warm welcome to Redmaids High Junior School this morning. So I'm Lisa Brown, the head teacher of this excellent school, and I'm joined this morning by Mrs Newton.
Good morning.
So Mrs Newton is a leader of Year 6 and she's also the coordinator of our mental health and wellbeing throughout the school.
That's right.
And we're joined by Ruby.
Good morning.
And Olivia. Who are our 2 Year 5s, and you can see they're ready for sport this morning, so they've obviously had a sport lesson straight away this morning, is that right?
Yes.
Excellent, good. Now thank you for joining us this morning. So we are a small, happy school where girls are able to positively flourish. As you just saw in the film, the girls here have numerous opportunities to try and pursue a wide range of interests. That includes sport, music, drama and the arts, and often these are to exceptionally high standards. And you might have seen something that went out recently in our feed about little Justine in Year 3, who had an amazing score of 147 out of 150. I don't think I've ever seen such a high score with a distinction in her violin exam. Also, the girls here are academically stretched and nurtured as they go through. Small class sizes mean that every girl is known, understood and fully supported, and this prepares them well for senior school and the world beyond. So this morning is your chance to ask us any questions. And you can do that through the comments section on the YouTube. And if you're welcome to direct them to myself, or you might want to direct them to Mrs Newton, or you might wish to direct them to our Year 5 ambassadors this morning. So to get the ball rolling, I'm going to start with a frequently asked question. Why choose a single-sex school? Why choose a girls' school? Well, I thought long and hard about this last night, actually, because I do review it all the time, and I thought I could go on for a very long time. So I've tried to take it down to just a few points. So I think one of the main things is that every subject is a girls' subject. We all study everything. In fact, studies do show that girls achieve very well, and perhaps a bit better really, in just a girls' environment. And this is especially in STEM subjects, which is science, technology, engineering and maths. Here we have a big robotics curriculum, and in fact, Mrs Newton, you lead the robotics here, don't you?
I do robotics clubs from Year 3 all the way up to Year 6, and it's a real intrinsic part of what we do here.
Yes, so we also take part in Year 6. Once we've taken that all the way through, we take them to the first Lego League competition, which the girls really adore, don't they?
They do, and it's a fantastic competition. They are stretched with their robotic programming, but they also have to work as a team. And we've been lucky enough to go to nationals twice recently, and out of the 63 teams there were only 2 all-girls teams, and I think it's really important for our girls to see that they can do this as an all-girls team and that it's something that they can achieve as well.
Yes, and normally in year 5 we also run a robotics day, don't we? And we invite QH boys over. Sadly this year we haven't been able to do that due to our bubbles, so I bet you're a bit disappointed, girls, there. But the QH boys normally come over and we lead the way, don't we, on the first the Lego Mindstorms, isn't it?
We do, and it's a really good day to see how the girls can access the programming equally well as the boys. We've actually stopped doing mixed teams with it though, because we tended to find the boys picked up the robots and the girls sat back a little bit, and so now we do boys teams and girls teams in that day, and that's much more effective, we think, because some of the girls will naturally pick up the robots, some of the girls will naturally fall into the programming, and it gives them a chance to find their niche.
Yeah, absolutely. So also we find that generally in co-educational classrooms, there's often dominated by some very confident boys actually, who are quick to answer and take risks, particularly in subjects like maths, and they tend to overshadow the girls. We often find that when girls join us, they find it a bit easier in the classroom because they can put their hands up and they're more confident. What do you think about that, girls?
Well, I think that is true because I come from a co-ed school, and I think that in a girls' school you get a lot more opportunities in the classroom and out.
Lovely, that's nice to hear. That's nice to hear very well, because Ruby joined us in year 5, so you've just joined us this year, and we'll come back to you about that, Ruby. And Olivia, you joined us actually in year 2, and she did 2 years in year 3, didn't you? And then you've come on through the school. So quite a range of experiences from both our girls here. But being in an all-girls school is a bit more than just academic success, isn't it? It's actually about the freedom to be who you are, and in the playground, isn't it? So I know it's coming from obviously a co-educational school last year, Ruby. What differences have you noticed in the playground?
Well, in the playground, I think you get a lot more opportunities of what you can do. So, for example, in my old school, the boys sort of took charge of the playground and the girls weren't really allowed to play the football or go on the climbing frame and stuff like that. But in this school, you can do whatever you want without it being like a boys' thing.
Absolutely, and we have some football nets that are very popular. I did try to rest them a little bit to give the Astro a bit of a rest, and I had a deputation from some of the girls saying, please can we have them back straight away, because they are used on a daily basis, aren't they, the football nets? Absolutely. And also you have that freedom to be doing handstands in the lawn right to the end of year 6 without any concerns. And we're also able to adapt our teaching styles as well, so that it follows the interests that you have as well as girls. So we're able to think about, girls like to talk, don't they? Is that right? Yes. So we do a lot of learning through talking, and that is quite successful, and we're able to do that and perhaps have longer sessions than perhaps you might have in a co-educational environment. And the girls here, we do encourage them to become risk takers as well, don't we? We do. We do give them lots of opportunities to take risks, both in the classroom and out of it. Particularly the outdoor ed. We've just come back from our week in Mendip with year 6, and I know you girls went the week before, and I think there was quite a lot of risk taking that week, wasn't there? Yeah. What did you do that challenged you, Ruby?
Well, one of my favourite things that we did there was the assault course, and then at the end there were ropes going over water, and at first it was actually really scary because there was a single rope going across, and I was really scared to do it, but then I went across and did it, and it was so fun.
Oh, well done, well done. And Olivia, what about you?
Well, I think probably the abseiling. It was quite challenging at first, but once you got used to it, it became really, really fun and really exciting.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you very much. So do we have any questions have come in?
We have got a couple of questions here. One of them is, do you have subject specialist teaching?
We do have subject specialist teaching. So it changes as you go through the school. So in year 3, generally we have about 75% of the timetable is your class teacher. So you spend much more time. So Olivia, you've been through year 3 and year 4. And so most of the subjects at that point are taught by the class teacher, and you have that lovely pastoral support and relationship, don't you? But you do have some specialism. So you would be having sports specialists, wouldn't you, Olivia? Can you remember any others?
Well, we definitely had sports specialists. So we go over to the Astro and we play sports with our sports teacher. And we did a bit of art with our arts teacher,
yes,
which I really enjoyed.
And you have a music specialist. Do you remember having music lessons?
Yeah.
Yes.
We have a music specialist, so we went up to the music room and we get to explore all the different types of music instruments that we had.
Thank you very much. Good. And then when we get into year 5, it's much more of a sort of specialism with literacy and maths, and they have lots and lots of teachers, don't you? Do you like having lots of teachers?
Yeah, I really enjoy it because it just feels like a bit more social, because you've got a lot more chance to know more people and you can just see how different people are.
That's lovely. So you do have lots of teachers, but what's nice about it is you don't have to move around the school for your lessons, do you? You stay in your classroom unless you're going to a specialist room like the art room, but you stay there and the teachers move, don't they? So it's really, it feels like a junior school still though, I think.
Yeah, it still does, because like you've got your own space, you've got your own drawer, and you just like, it just feels very comfortable, especially with the teachers that are so nice and so are your friends.
Absolutely. So in year 5 and 6, you have virtually every subject's a specialist subject now, isn't it?
It is, and I think it's really nice. I think it's good preparation for year 7 when you go over onto senior school and you're going to be moving around a school and having lots of different teachers. It's learning how different teachers work, and different teachers' expectations might be different in different subjects. And I think that's really good preparation for senior school.
Do you have a favourite subject? Ruby, have you got a favourite subject?
Well, that's actually quite hard. I really enjoy art, and I also really enjoy English, and maths is quite fun because it's not all the time just like doing adding up all the time. Like sometimes you play games and it's just really, really good.
Right, and what about you, Olivia?
I really enjoy the art because you can really put your personality into your pieces, and yeah, it's really fun.
Sure.
And I also quite enjoy maths. Like Ruby said, it's not just always equations, it's fun and games as well.
Lots of fun and games. Excellent.
We've actually got a question come in about to do with the subjects. What languages do you study?
Well, we actually do quite a few languages. We have done German a couple of times, and we do French, and we also do Spanish.
So we've done that. Some of them are through clubs, aren't they?
Yeah.
So what we've done in the school itself, we learn French every week. So we have French, and in fact, the lucky girls get me every week for that, don't you? So I like to teach every class through the school so that I know everybody in the classroom and they know me, because I think that's really important. And so I teach you French every week. And then we also have something else. Mrs. Woodward teaches you. Can you remember what that is?
Oh yeah, Miss Woodward also teaches us Latin, and then Miss Dara teaches us Spanish and German, things like that.
That's right. So we've got a carousel of languages going through in the mornings, haven't we, at the moment on a Friday morning. So lots of different languages that you've been learning. But generally, as we go through, our main languages are French and Latin that we are doing to give them your base for the senior school. Which language do you think you might be interested in taking on further?
Well, I really, really enjoy doing French because I don't know, you can express yourself in it, and I just really like that.
I think you've done a little bit more of that as well, so that enables you to speak better. Olivia?
I really enjoy the Latin lessons because the teacher gives you a chance to read a little bit of this area each, and you all can take turns and learn a lot from the Latin lessons.
Yeah, and what's nice about the Latin is it's a junior curriculum, and it's about minimus, it's called, isn't it? And there's a little mouse, and you learn about a family, and you learn about the domestic setting of the Romans actually as well as part of that, so it's a really good study. Wow, thank you.
I've got another question in. What are the advantages of joining in year 5 in comparison to joining in year 6?
Gosh, the advantages of joining in year 5 or joining in year 6. Well, what would you like to start?
I think joining in year 5, like Ruby did, is a really good chance for you to get settled into the school and to be able to find your feet and feel confident going on through. There's quite an intake at year 5. I remember Ruby was saying that she quite liked the fact that when you joined there were lots of other girls joining. So it's quite an interesting time to come because you are starting with other people, and it's when the school changes and we become more specialists. So it gets you prepared for how the school works, and that means that you go into year 6 feeling confident and that you're then ready for our transition to year 7 in the senior school.
Yes. So girls do join us in year 6.
They do. We had 5 girls joining us this year in year 6.
But I do think there is an advantage to joining in year 5, as you said, because actually by the time you've joined us in year 6, but you've got your feet under the table in the first term, and then you have the entrance exam, and then you're looking forward to transitioning. So it's a transitioning year. So to have that extra solid year in year 5 for that preparation is really, really useful. Absolutely.
I think it helps consolidate. If you come in year 5, you really have, feel comfortable, and you can then really perform your best in year 6 as you transition to the senior school. That's why I think it's quite a good time to come.
Good. Thank you.
This might be a good one for Ruby. I know you enjoy your sports. Actually, the girls both do. What are the opportunities for sport at the school? What sports do you like doing?
You get a lot of opportunities because we do a lot of different sports such as swimming, hockey, netball, and a lot of other stuff too. And we do a lot of fixtures and things like that, and you get to play against other schools, and it's really very fun.
So have you been in any matches, Olivia?
Yeah, I've been in a lot of matches, and we go over in the minibus and we warm ourselves up, and after the match we all congratulate each other, and yeah, I really enjoy that.
That's lovely to hear. So we do lots of swimming. We do try to swim every week, don't we? And we're so lucky. We've so closely nearly begun swimming several times this year. Well, we actually have done at the moment, so I'm absolutely delighted to say that swimming has started this term, but you haven't had your turn yet, I don't think. But you've been to outdoor pursuits instead, so you were swimming in the river. So you've done the swimming, and we have obviously hockey, netball, cricket, but we do have other sports. What about, I know, Olivia, that there's something you're very keen on a Friday afternoon. What is that?
So I take part in the judo clubs, and there are quite a few other girls there, and it's really fun because it's not just boys who do the judo things, it's girls as well, and I really am lucky to have that.
Absolutely, and you're very feisty when you're in your judo. Sometimes I watch some things and I think, gosh. And Olivia, what I really like about it, also you've taken part in lots of dancing as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I take part in quite a lot of the dance choreographies, and I've done some of the ballet lessons, which is quite the opposite to my judo.
It is quite the opposite, absolutely, which is nice to see that both sides, you can be who you are, which is a really nice thing to do, absolutely. So we also have things like fencing, don't we? And generally orienteering is a huge sport here, with lots of girls take part in as well. Do either of you orienteer?
Well, I hadn't even heard of it before I came to Redmaids, but then I started by doing a club at lunchtime with Mr. Hayward, and I really got into it, and it was just so fun. And you get to navigate a map, and you get to adventure and explore different places.
Lovely, well done, that's nice to hear, really good.
Well, that leads into the next question actually, about what are the opportunities beyond the classroom for building girls' resilience?
Wow, goodness me, what are the opportunities? We do an awful lot beyond the classroom, absolutely do. So we do have a really wide-ranging outdoor education programme here, which is really embedded amongst the school. And what's really nice is we've noticed a big sea change over the years of having this, where the girls here become risk takers, don't they? And it's just the normal thing. Everyone has a go, and it's a bit like the introductory film that we saw. It is about having a go, and actually if you don't like it, that's just fine, because there's some things that make me very nervous, and I have to confess I still haven't learnt to surf, although I do paddleboard now, but I'm still a bit unsure. But I must challenge myself, Mrs. Newton. I must challenge. Maybe I'll do that at our next residential. So within the curriculum we have a programme that goes out in year 3, year 4, year 5 and year 6. So in year 3, we go to Mendip, outdoor pursuits, for 2 days, where the girls experience assault courses. They go canoeing, they go caving, and they go climbing. And then year 4 go for 3 days, and they stay overnight, they camp out, which is really exciting, under canvas usually. And they cook their own dinner, which is very exciting. They just extend the experience a little bit. But in year 5 and 6, we are really pleased. They go to Appledore in Devon to Skern Lodge. Sadly, this year we haven't been able to go due to the government guidelines. But next year, I know you'll be very excited.
Yeah.
It's famous in the school. Everyone cannot wait to go to Skern Lodge. It's a wonderful experience, and the girls learn to look after themselves and be independent, which is hugely important. They also are busy for noon to night time. Dawn to night time. Really, really busy, aren't they?
They are, and I think what's really good about it is that they are independent. They're away from home for that whole week, and it's really nice to see them develop that week and to learn to get their kit together, to put the right things in their bag for their day's trip. And I think that independence in year 5, they do bodyboarding, but in year 6 we go surfing. In year 5 they use the climbing wall. In year 6 we go actually onto a cliff face. So it's building every year, and I know that my year 6s love their time at Skern Lodge. It is, I think, a highlight of their time at the juniors. And if you come in year 5, you get to go twice.
And then if you really like that sort of aspect of life, we have lots of things to be running through at weekends and Friday afternoons. So you can do, we've had climbing clubs that go out, we have kayaking, we have caving. I think we've had bushcraft this term as well. We've got sailing going out later at the end with all aboard down at the Bristol Docks, actually. So that's been something that's been running for a couple of years. So there are lots of opportunities. We've actually been really lucky, actually, through lockdown. We've managed to ensure that we've been out getting bubbles on the water. So I know that the year 5s and 6s did some kayaking. And I think the year 3s had a go at tunnelling through a mine.
They did. So they did a mine, I think near Sanford Quarry, I think it was. They had a go because caving wasn't permitted, so we did something alternative. So girls, what about things beyond the classroom that you've done? Which clubs are you in, Olivia, or have you taken part in? You've been with us since year 2, so could you list some of the things that you've taken part in?
So I've done a lot of the caving, and that's very inclusive, and you can go quite a lot. There's lots of opportunities. Sometimes it's even every week that you can go. And my mum's also booked me in for some kayaking and some more climbing, which I'm very excited for.
Good. And what have you done prior to now? What other clubs have you been part of, maybe at lunchtimes or after school?
So there are maths clubs, which aren't just equations, they're fun and games. And there are drama clubs, like
So there are drama clubs,
yeah,
that's
drama
right.
clubs.
And you do drama, don't you, as well? So can you tell us about the drama you do outside of the classroom?
So I do some drama lessons with Ruby, and we're practicing for a duologue exam coming up now, which I'm really excited for.
Good. But you both were saying that you have lots of choice in your drama lessons and you really enjoy that. So what sort of choices do you have in your drama lessons?
Well, the choices that we have is we get to pick our own scripts, like so what suits us, and if we want to try new things, we can, and we have a lot of choice in it. So we're right now practicing for a duologue exam. Like Olivia said, we got to pick our scripts, got to pick our characters, and it's just so fun.
That's great. And also to be in charge of your own learning is really nice, isn't it? And to direct yourself. It's really good. Good. And there are lots of other clubs. Have either of you ever been to a science club? So we do science clubs, maths clubs. I'm trying to think. There's so many opportunities here.
And we've got robotics, and then we've got some of the crafty clubs like origami and art club and make it club,
Absolutely.
will it work club.
Oh yes, the Will It Work Club. That's a good one to try lots of different things. So have you been to some sport clubs, Ruby, this term?
Yeah, I'm a very sporty person, so I really like the sports clubs. So this week, on Friday, I'm going to the athletics club at lunchtime. I've done the netball club, I've done the hockey club, and right now I'm also doing the cricket club. And they're just so fun. And you get to just be who you are without being like a girls or boys subject.
Right, that's super. So we do have an extracurricular offering which changes every term. So we tend to have hockey club in the autumn term and netball clubs in the spring term and so forth. But we also have a range of obviously drama. We also have a book club which actually I run, which different books every half term, and the girls are invited to come along and discuss the book. And it's very important. You've been to that. Ruby's nodding. And very importantly, what do we have as part of book club? Do you remember what we have?
Well, we have some snacks, we have biscuits, and we have some drinks.
Yes.
And it's very fun.
It's fine. All good book clubs involve food and a little bit of drink, don't they? So we have that to treat while we discuss the books that we've been reading. So it's usually something for everyone, isn't there?
There is, and there's lots of other questions coming in actually, Mrs. Brown, which is great. How would you describe your values as a school community?
Our values as a school community. Well, we have 5 golden rules actually, which are pretty good, aren't they? They cover most aspects of school life. So our values are really, the first one is to be kind and thoughtful to everyone, and I think that we talk about that a lot, don't we, girls?
Yeah.
And I think generally the girls here are very kind, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yes. So I do talk a lot about how kindness is free, and we should be thinking about others and how that we respond to each other, and that is part of our classroom. Going on from that, we also have our learner profile, which also looks at the whole child, and that's really important. Our values here, we recognise the whole person, and that's why the extracurricular life that we have is quite wide, isn't it? Offering to the different joys. So it's nice to hear Olivia, for example, liking the judo and the ballet. So both things, and that's how it's in. And our learner profile looks at leadership skills, doesn't it? Can you remember any more?
Well, there's one that's robust learners, and there's team workers, there's also leaders, and there's a lot of stuff like that. So whichever one you're doing, it's just really fun how you're doing it, because every time it's a different thing that you're doing, and it's very good.
Absolutely. So we very much value academic success. Yes, of course we do, and we nurture the girls as they go through. But we are also looking at developing the whole person so that they're able to leave us in year 6 as confident girls who are able to go out and make informed choices when they go to senior school. There'll be lots of opportunities at senior school too, and to go on into the wider world. So we're preparing them for that.
Well, there's lots of other parts coming in along that. So Mr. Grills would like to know, how do you focus on life skills, real world skills such as leadership and teamwork, and practical things like budgeting? And actually we had a really good example of this year. We had to think outside the box in that we had a virtual Christmas bazaar, didn't we, girls? Because we couldn't do our normal Christmas bazaar. And so we had to do the budgeting for that. The girls created items to sell in their groups. They worked out how much it was going to cost. They worked out what they were going to sell them for. We then put order forms out, and the girls then created their products to order. And it was a really good chance for the girls to explore leadership and teamwork, but also in a real world situation, almost running like a business. And I think it's one of the things from lockdown that we'll take forward to next year, in that running a Christmas bazaar like that gave the girls so many more opportunities to explore those real life skills that possibly we wouldn't have known about if we hadn't had that lockdown situation.
So did you enjoy the virtual bazaar, girls?
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it because it was my first Christmas bazaar. And in our year, we made these little reindeers out of candy canes, and we put little eyes on them, pipe cleaners, and it was really, really fun, and we got to order what we wanted.
And what I really liked about it, so that you had quality control in the groups that were taken to make sure they were well made and things, didn't you? So well done, and it was a good thing. We also actually do quite a lot for the real world. So Mrs. Edbrick also at Upper School Service did some work on banking, I believe, with you, and budgeting this last term, I think it was, that she did that with you. So we think that we do recognise that we are preparing the girls for the real world. Also in science, we try to make things realistic for the real world as well. In fact, we had a development meeting about this just this week. And so one of the most popular experiments is to do with tomato ketchup, I believe.
It is, and I can see the girls smiling because it's a year 5 experiment. So what was the problem with the tomato ketchup, Ruby?
Well, there were different types of the tomato ketchup, and they have different consistencies. And then you had like a plate, and you'd pour, and then you'd squirt it onto the plate, and you'd see how fast it would roll to the bottom. And then we saw which tomato ketchup was the runniest and which was the thickest, and then how fast they went down. We also made some predictions, and it was so good.
And Olivia, so it was to solve a real life problem, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So what was the real life problem you were solving?
So there was a man on the cruise ship eating his burger, and the ketchup spilled out all over his lovely fancy suit, and he got very mad at the chef. So the chef decided to write a letter to us and ask which ketchup should he use in his burgers.
And did you write back to him telling him which ketchup to use?
Yeah, we wrote our own letters and told him which consistency was the best.
Fantastic.
So I think that we try to do a lot of that within our school, don't we? To make
We try and put it
appropriate.
into practical situations, definitely, because the whole point of learning is to learn for the real world. And I think sometimes being in class, you can feel that you're learning for the sake of learning. And I think we try very hard here to show why you're learning things.
Good, and we could tell you enjoyed it from the smiles on your faces. Absolutely, very popular.
I've got a question here from Helen Renwick. It said, can you tell me how big are the class sizes and do you stream at all?
Okay, that's a good question. So the class sizes are usually no more than 20, and sometimes they can be a little bit smaller than that. And sorry, I've missed.
And do you stream?
Do we stream? No, we don't stream actually here. No, all girls have equal opportunity in the classroom. So we have very dynamic introductions with lots of practical things to try out. And we use whiteboards and pens in order to try out ideas before committing things to paper, don't we? And also we find that the girls, like they were saying in the drama, if you have ownership of your own learning, it makes you more confident and you understand yourself better. So, for example, in a maths lesson, we might have a very dynamic introduction at the beginning and try things out. And then once we go to the independent tasks, we might talk to the girls about, you know, how are you feeling about your learning today? Are you confident? Do you want to do the challenge? Maybe you need to do some consolidation, so there might be a different activity for consolidation, or you might want a little bit of support and let's revise what we were doing before and then build upon that, because maths is very much building blocks as you go forward. And so an expert teacher will be able to deliver that in one classroom. And what's really good also is that we teach to the top, so that everyone in the classroom has the opportunity to achieve that high level. But of course, the expertise of the teacher makes sure that everyone's needs are met. You're able to use that system. So do you like having that? You're not put in a maths group, say the triangle group or the square group, and you've had that right the way from year 2, Olivia. So how do you find, Olivia, having the free choice to choose which maths activity would suit you that day?
I find it really comforting because you know that you're not going to find it really difficult and it's not going to be quite easy for you. And we also have a little system where you have a red square, an orange square or a green square if you found it challenging or if you're very comfortable with it.
Lovely, well done. And Ruby, how are you finding it? Because that's something, is that new for you as you've come here? Is that a new system?
Well, yes, it is, because at my old school we did have a couple sheets, but some of they were more or less the same questions, just in slightly different like hardnesses. And I just sort of think that it's a lot, like Olivia said, it's very comforting knowing that you're going to be okay with it and knowing you have a choice what to do.
Absolutely. And I will say, just to be clear, we do keep an eye, don't we? We do make sure that you're challenging yourself enough or have understood fully. So we do have a cast our eye over that, don't we, Mrs.
And I
Newton?
think it's really helpful as a maths teacher too, to have that choice, because some things girls can feel really confident in. It might be that time is something you really are good at, and you get a chance to do some of the more challenging work, whereas you might find fractions more difficult, and on that day choose a slightly easier task. And I think giving them the ownership helps them feel more confident, particularly in maths. But we don't stream for maths, and the class sizes are the same. So if you're in a class of 20, you're in your class of 20 for maths, and sometimes they are a little bit smaller, the class sizes, but you would be with your class for all your lessons. Unless, actually, in year 6, sometimes we mix them up. So sometimes we teach by our house system, so the girls get a chance to work with other girls, or we might teach them by the register order, so it might be that we have the odd numbers together and the even numbers. And I think it's really nice for my year sixes this year to really feel like a cohort rather than individual classes, so they actually know each other really well. And I think that learning to work with lots of different children is another key aspect of what we do.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's not to say that we don't offer support and extension activities actually beyond the classroom. So we often, the robotics that we do for year 6 actually is an extension beyond the classroom, but everyone can join it if they wish to. We also have sometimes a memory challenge group, which is extraordinary. That's an opportunity for you girls in year 6 you might like to take part in. Some of the girls learn skills and techniques that mean that they can remember 50 digits in a row in the correct order. Extraordinary. I think I need to go to some of those lessons, Mrs. Newton, to learn how to do those sorts of things. So there's lots of other opportunities beyond the classroom as well, but everyone can take part in them should they wish to.
And the question here, how do you address friendship issues with the girls? Because we all know that there's ups and downs when you're at school. So if there are problems, how do you deal with them here? Well,
we have a really robust pastoral system here. So every week we have a jigsaw lesson. So jigsaw is a scheme actually which is quite well used in Bristol, and it has enabled us to have some really tricky conversations with the girls about friendship issues and about actually yourselves and how you communicate. So we have that timetabled in weekly. We also have regular lower school assembly, which is targeted at year 3 and 4, so their understanding and their maturity, because actually it's quite a big difference between year 3 and 4 and then year 5 and 6, perhaps in digital understanding and things and apps that they're using. So we have addressed those issues within lower school assembly and upper school assembly. We also have sometimes class time sessions, which are very much about the experiences that the girls are having at that moment. So if we had, say, somebody who was feeling a bit left out in the playground, which does happen, doesn't it, girls? Somebody might be feeling, they might come forward and say, I'm having a bit of difficulty in the playground, I don't know who to play with. So what we do here is we talk to the girl that's having upset or worried about something, and we agree a plan together, and it's really important that you do that. And we have a no blame policy here, so that we then, if the girl is comfortable, we then talk with the other girls that perhaps they may be having a difficulty with, or we ask the other girls to help, and we have a very good discussion normally, and then the girls actually solve it for themselves. They say, well, would it help if I do this, or would it help if I do that? We give the girls the opportunity to sort it for themselves, and actually most of the time it works really, really well. And then we keep a very close eye to make sure things are going along, don't we, Mrs. Newton?
We do, because friendships are quite tricky at times, and they do change from year 3. The issues the girls have in year 3 might be different to year 6. But I do think that giving the girls a bit of ownership about how we cope with them and how we can facilitate their learning and how we can develop their friendships, and understand that everybody is different, and that sometimes things get said that are misinterpreted. And I think those conversations really help them when they go on to senior school, where, again, it gets broader friendship groups and possibly more issues.
Absolutely. So girls, have you got anything to say on that? How do you find friendships and those sorts of things in the playground? Have there been any bumps along the way for you, and have they been solved, and how has that been for you?
Well, so some people come forward and they're like, I felt a bit left out, and then the teacher talks to them, they're like, so would you like me to do this for you? And they're like, yes please. And then the teacher might talk to the other children and be like, do you want to play with her today? And they'll be like, yes, sure, and then it's all sorted.
Good. So generally quite smooth, isn't it, once we get sorted? The system does work really well. I think the girls are kind here, because that's what we're talking about, our values, our golden rule number 1, being kind and thoughtful to everyone. So it goes back to that, and that's, I think, a driving force through the school. And it makes you all feel comfortable in school, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's good.
Mrs. Brown, can you tell us about the diversity in the school?
The diversity in the school, right? Well, absolutely. So we do a lot. Our curriculum is very, very diverse, so that we explore every sort of aspect of cultural and religious experience that we have actually within the school of the girls who are here. So we celebrate the girls who are here, and then we also explore beyond that, of course. So we have a wide study of history. We look at a different range of scientists. In fact, I know one point of diversity with the science is we've been trying to celebrate female scientists. But we also have girls who may be celebrating different festivals. So if we've had girls who are celebrating Eid, we would invite them to do an assembly and a presentation within school. We would celebrate with them, actually. It's a great idea. The more you can do that. We celebrate Black History Month. We were doing that. We had focused on a number of famous people in history this year, which was really exciting. I really enjoyed Nina Simone particularly. She sung beautifully. So we also have obviously a robust religious education curriculum and links through all of that. So do you want to add anything there, Mrs. Newton?
No, I think that covers a lot. I mean, we do have a mix of girls here, and I think celebrating the mix of girls that we have has been really important, particularly in Year 6 where they want to share that a little bit more. I know in past years, trying to find opportunities for the girls to share what they're doing at home, and we've visiting, so we went to a synagogue with Year 6s, and one of the girls was really keen to stand up and talk about their experiences there, and I think giving the girls those opportunities to share what they do and to show that we are all part of the community together.
And actually we also talk about our local community. And so we think we are outward looking as well, as obviously it's very easy to be in our nice bubble here, but we do look out beyond our school here. So we do look out to the wider community, and we think about people who live around the corner, perhaps who are not so fortunate as ourselves. So we might be collecting for the food bank. We also reach across the world, and you have a link that you're nurturing with a school in Peru, don't you, Mrs. Newton?
We do, and actually one of the roles we have for the girls is global ambassadors, and this is a chance for them to find their place in the wider world. And it's a role for Year 5s, and I know that Ruby was one this year. And this year we've collected pencil cases for Peru, so the girls, like most girls, had an excess of stationery, and so we collected that up and we parcelled it up and sent it to the school in Peru. But we've also done more local work, looking at supplying computers and laptops to a charity that's more local to Bristol. And we're looking at doing some more environmental stuff this term. So the Global Ambassadors this term are going to be looking at our crisp packet problem in the playground and how I might go around solving that.
Oh, good luck. Ruby, is that you this term?
I don't think so. I think I was last term, and yeah, I helped with the computers, and we were handing over old computers to help people who maybe weren't as fortunate as us.
Good. Fantastic. Thank you.
And that leads on to the next question. Are there environmental awareness activities or clubs?
Well, there we are. So we've partly answered that one already. We certainly do. We have the Global Ambassadors that go out. We also are very, very keen on wildlife. So Mr. Hayward is our science coordinator, but he's very much does things to do with making things eco-friendly. He's been making bug huts with his class. We obviously have pond dipping, where we look at the environment there and making sure that we maintain the wildlife in that area too. So there are a lot of things that we do to do with the environment.
We had Year 6 actually this year did political art, and a lot of their political art was about the environment. We had a lot of girls who felt very strongly that was the political statement they wanted to make with their artwork.
Yes, there have been, and actually it has driven. We've done a whole plastic pollution project actually, which was led and driven by the girls because it's following their interest, and that's what's really important, that we do key into what the girls are interested in, not just what we're providing. So we take those projects on and allow them to lead.
Question here, how many girls transfer to the senior school?
That's a good question. Usually, most girls in Year 6 will transfer to the senior school. In fact, this year, every girl has transferred to the senior school. Often, we may have one or two maybe that may have a scholarship elsewhere, or they may perhaps transfer to a maintained school. So usually all girls transfer to the senior school, which is really nice.
And it's a very smooth process, isn't it?
Oh, it's a really smooth process, and Mrs. Newton obviously is very involved in that process because she is the leader of Year 6. And we have links across clearly with the Year 7 head of year, who will come and visit the girls here and talk to the girls so that it's on familiar territory and ground. And then obviously our girls are really fortunate. We go over to the senior school every day, and we go over there for lunch. So they're used to the dining hall, they're used to the grounds. We use the sports facilities, so they're used to going to the Astro, they're used to using the sports hall. We're really lucky if we want to do a science experiment in a science lab, which is great fun. We can book a lab over there, so we can go and do it in the science lab. There's nothing more. I love taking the younger girls, and the benches are up to here, and they've got their little coats on, and they put the goggles on. Even if we're using water, it's really important to have that feeling of being a true scientist. So we do have that option as well. We do use the food tech labs as well, so that we can have, obviously there are 10 kitchens set up, so we can have all the girls cooking at once. And this year we've made hot chocolate, we've made smoothies.
Year 6 did pizzas.
Year
I think
6
that they were very tasty.
They're very tasty pizzas. So obviously we're able to use those facilities in the senior school, and we're very lucky also to be able to use their performance space for when we want to do obviously a production of some kind. So all girls in the school take part in a production, one in every year group, every year. So Year 3 and 4 do a creative arts workshop, which is a bit of dancing, a bit of singing, a bit of speaking, everybody's involved. There are no stars of the show, no auditions, we all take part. We're a team, and the same in Year 5 and 6, which is a bit larger scale, isn't it, Mrs. Newton? You're very good at acting and drama.
It's a little bit more of a production, and I think it's nice for the girls to feel they've stepped up from Year 3, 4 and given a chance to stretch themselves with their drama. We tend to do musicals because they are great plays and productions for being all-encompassing. So they've got our dancers, our girls who are good singers get a chance to showcase their skills, and even being in the chorus, there's amazing how many children steal the show in the light with a little cameo role. And it's great fun. And I think it's really important for the girls who are dramatic and creative to have an opportunity to showcase their skills, just like the girls do on the sports field.
Yes, so geographically, the girls, it's easy to transition across because they're used to the lay of the land over there. But also you do meet some of the teachers, particularly in sport, don't you, Ruby and Olivia? So you have some of the senior staff teaching you for hockey and netball.
Yeah. Actually, one of the teachers that works in senior school, which we've had recently, is Miss Hull, and she works in senior school and the junior school sometimes. But all the PE teachers are really nice, and they all give in quite a lot of PE lessons. You get opportunities of what you would like to do, and that's just so good, having a feel of comfort in what you want.
Well done, thank you. Yes, Miss Hull is very popular, isn't she?
Yeah.
She's very popular, Miss Hull, absolutely.
She's a fantastic netball player. I think having that inspiration for the girls is excellent.
She's an amazing netball player, so she's a role model for you girls, I think, absolutely.
So the other question I've got here is to do with the sports outside. So if you aren't somebody who likes the traditional sports, what can we convert the opportunities that might be there for, if you're not necessarily a team sport player, what opportunities might you have?
Well, this overlaps a little bit, doesn't it, with other questions that we were talking about earlier. So you might decide that you like caving, so you could become a caver. Mrs. Woodward actually is our outdoor education coordinator, and her enthusiasm is extraordinary, and she's creates a groundswell of enthusiasm amongst the girls. So you might find that you want to do caving, you might become a climber, You might want to be a kayaker. So there are all those sorts of outdoor education opportunities. Lots of girls here actually take up fencing if they prefer to be more independent as a sports person. So they're still playing as part of a team because you still have to score points in your team, but actually your matches are one-to-one. So there's a balance between that. And have either of you done fencing?
I've taken part in a bit of the fencing, and yeah, it's quite team working, but also it's quite independent.
It is, isn't it? And I've always been really amazed. We've had some matches here, particularly with there's a school in Cornwall that often comes up, and we've done some fencing matches in here. And I don't think we realise how energetic it is, fencing. It's quite exhausting. So the matches last about 2 minutes, but absolutely the girls are feisty. So obviously that's the judo and the fencing there. That's interesting, Olivia. So it's a feisty match, isn't it, that you do? But it's really hard work in that short period of time. And the girls go on to be very, very successful from that. So we also obviously have our dance, and which is really nice in the dance because actually it's exercise without thinking about it a lot of the time. And the choreography that they do, dancing choreography, is hugely popular amongst the girls here. And in fact, we have house dance at the end of this term, so I can't wait to see that. So we'll have individuals and duets and group performances, scoring points for your houses. We do a lot of house events here as well. So that's you're looking forward to the house dance?
Yeah,
I'm really looking forward
Yes,
to it.
good. We did still manage to do lots of house events this year. That's taken me on a segue there, I'm afraid. I was going to talk to you. One of my favourite ones last term, whilst remote learning, was the pancake flip, wasn't it? So we normally have a pancake race, but we thought, how can we do this if we're all at home on Zoom? So Friday afternoon, the girls all needed to turn up with a frying pan, didn't you? And a ready-made pancake. Do you remember? And then they were given, I think it was 30 seconds, I can't remember now, and you had to do as many flips as you could and then log it in, and then we worked out which house did the most flips. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah.
I'm sure you didn't eat the pancake afterwards. No, but
I
so absolutely, it's really important, isn't it, to keep that sense of community, and those house events give us that, and they're great fun, and schools should be fun, learning
And
should
they give
be
us
fun.
a chance for the girls who are music and art. There's lots of creativity that we do. We have a lot of music and art here, don't we?
Huge amount of music and art here, we do. So we've got one more question.
We do. How do you deal with anxiety in young girls?
How do we deal with anxiety in young girls? Well, I think it is, girls here we're good at talking. I think that's the key. We're good at talking. If girls are feeling a bit anxious about anything, we talk to the girls and we ask them whether there's a member of staff that they identify with, and it may not be their class teacher. That's really important. So we find them a member of staff who they feel comfortable to talk with. We also have Mrs. Wakelin, our learning enhancement teacher, who is very good at, she often does social stories with girls, then talk through situations that they may find challenging. They can meet perhaps 15 minutes regularly on a regular basis. We also, as a whole staff, nurture girls and talk about them and look after them and look out for them within the classroom. We might set up a circle of friends around a girl who's feeling a bit anxious, if that's what we feel will be successful and what the girl would like. And we do actually have the opportunity to use a counsellor, which obviously goes through to the senior school as well. So should there be a particular need or something that's happening in a child's life, we're able to offer that opportunity as well. But really, in-house, we need somebody here every day that's going to be a go-to person that they could think of who could support them. Do you girls think you have a teacher that you could, or a member of staff, doesn't have to be a teacher, it could be a teaching assistant, it could be anyone within the school staff that you feel you could talk to?
Yeah, I feel that there's a lot of people that we could talk to, because all the teachers, they're really friendly and they're really understanding of what your needs are.
What about you, Olivia? Have you got somebody you think you could speak to?
Well, same as Ruby. I don't really have a particular person because I think I can speak to everyone because, yeah, they're really understanding and helpful.
Oh, that's good to hear.
Nice to know.
That's really nice to know, Mrs. Newton. Good.
And I've got one last question here. It says, we live in Wales. Just on the off chance, are there others that live across the bridge? And if so, are there school buses from this side?
Right, so we do have girls that come from sort of Chepstow way, if that's the area that you're coming from, because it's quite a quick nip across the bridge actually in the mornings. From there it's about 20 minutes or so. So we do have some girls that come from there. We did used to do a bus. I'm not 100% sure. I've got to be honest with you. I'll have to look that one up, maybe contact Mrs McCabe to confirm that. There certainly used to be a bus coming from Chepstow. So I didn't like to check on that one, so please ask Mrs McCabe. I'm sorry. Right, so we're nearing the end of the session now. So I need to talk about maybe the possibility, the very exciting possibility, that you may actually be able to visit our school and the admissions process that might include. So we are offering private timed tours by appointment if you are looking for a September 2021 entry this year on Thursday the 20th of May. So we'd love to see you there. If you can't make that, or you are not for September 21, for the moment we're offering you also a personal one-to-one Zoom with me if you want to have a chat with me about your daughter at a convenient time for you. We have assessment days booked in for September 21 entry, year 3 and 4 on Wednesday the 26th of May, and years 5 and 6 on Thursday the 27th of May. Don't worry about the assessments, they're really informal, they're very friendly, they're relaxed. The girls don't need to learn anything and prepare in advance. We do a bit of non-verbal reasoning, but I make sure that they understand how that works before we do practice questions and I keep an eye as they go through to make sure they've understood. We do maths, which will be what they're doing in their classes anyway, so it will be Key Stage 2 maths. And I am aware, obviously, that the girls' education and experience has been quite different, perhaps, from different aspects of schooling. So I will take that into account. We do a bit of writing and we do a bit of reading. After which, I give you lots of detailed feedback, which will help you to inform their very important decision about sending your daughter here. So what do you do? I would recommend that you contact Mrs McCabe by email or phone. I'm sure a lot of you have heard from her, if not all of you already. So that leaves me now to say thank you very much from myself for joining us this morning, and from Mrs Newton.
Thank you. It's been really enjoyable, actually.
Good. I hope it's been useful for you at home. And goodbye from Ruby and Olivia. Thank you, you two.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you very much for everything you've done. So goodbye for now, and I sincerely hope that I will be able to meet you in person very, very soon.